So, I'm shiny. I'm completely fascinated with dictatorships. And this has been going on now for about 6 years. I've been studying North Korea and their movements and their government and everything. So, long story short, I bought 2 houses on the same street with the actual idea of obtaining as many houses on the street as I could to try and buy up a neighborhood. And my goal was to start a commune. And my ex-wife thought, that sounds culty. Why are you using the word commune? Everyone you say it to is standoffish. Okay. I could see that because I would have been in charge of the real estate. Thus, I would have looked like a cult leader to them, I suppose. But the idea was to do something spiritual. This is when I was agnostic. I wasn't even Christian at this point, maybe. Yeah, I wasn't. So the idea was to just let people get a space where they could be themselves, chill out, and basically find their spirituality. Now, when people were saying this cult thing, I got fascinated with developing a cult of personality and how someone captivates, like say the Manson family, and actually does that. So I started studying, and I came upon North Korea during the process. And I looked at the Kim family, and for the size of that landmass and the way they spend all their like national budget on weapons and propaganda, it kind of blew my mind that was happening, you know, in like 2018. It's still going on in 2024. They're a threat to the United States, and they're the size of Pennsylvania. That appealed to me as a carnal man, and I saw that power, and I was like, dang, Kim Jong-un, he just inherited this thing. He's like my age. How does he keep it going? And it's all psychology, just like Stalin, right? I'll tell you the Stalin story. It's about negative reinforcement. Stalin called someone in. It was like a high-ranking military official, and he was teaching them about negative reinforcement and how to control people through giving them just a little bit of a reward after abuse. You see it in couples a lot, abusive couples. Sorry, there's a tractor. Stalin had a bird in his hand, and he's plucking feathers out of it, one at a time, you know, negatively reinforcing it. This thing's, by the end, I guess this thing's shivering and cuddling into his hand. He just throws it on the ground, and he says, see, by the end, they'll even beg you for their warmth, or whatever he said, something along those lines. And it reminded me of like I said, an abusive relationship where there's a woman who she's getting just beat down verbally every day, but then I don't know. Then when you do provide some warmth, like, hey, sweetheart, come to bed. She's like so excited you're being nice. She'll come in, you know, because she has no self-esteem and all this. So I see where Kim Jong-un is doing those same tactics and even more aggressive with the threats and the shooting people in the head with missiles and everything he does. So then I discovered Lukashenko over in Belarus and his insane rules, the last European dictatorship. And I read about a bunch of dudes in Africa. But the point is, it's honestly not hard to develop a following and then get some groupthink going. And what I wanted to say is a lot of churches that I've been to aren't too far off from weird dictatorships. They aren't as absolute, but they develop a following around a pastor, and then I think it detracts from Jesus. So now when I tell people I want to start a commune, because I'm still in, I'm like, dude, Jesus is the cult leader. I'm just following, you know? That's the idea. It's not a cult. It's a It's like a monastic lifestyle that is still interwoven with society, so that you can be secluded within a populated area and focus, Eremos. Eremos is like Eremos, is like the principle of withdrawing. And Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. It says that in Luke. He spent a lot of time on a mountain with the Father. So as I read about dictatorships, the only real dictator I need is Jesus Christ. But he's not a dictator. He's a king, certainly, but he gives us free will. Without free will, there wouldn't be true love, So I was inspired, though, because you got this little dude, Kim Il-sung, starts this thing in North Korea, revolts from South Korea, whatever rebels from South Korea, whatever you want to call it. And then they start living off the Juche calendar. They start their own calendar. They're just like, they are literally the hermit country. And the propaganda is so thick, these people don't know what's going on. If they weren't starving their citizens, it probably wouldn't be that bad of a thing. But dude starves everybody and blames them while he eats Swiss cheese and drinks bourbon until he gets obese. I mean, that's crazy to me. Like, does it really... Last question, and then I'll tie this up because no one wants to listen this long. Does it really go to your head that quick when you get some power? Like, do you go from being, like, connected to humans to, like, then suddenly you're able to just drink bourbon and eat Swiss cheese and watch them starve in front of you? Does it really happen overnight? Like, you get the power and suddenly you're detached. You're just like, yeah, oh, by the way, I never cared anyway. I want a hamburger. And then it's like, maybe if you grew more vegetables, you wouldn't be starving. I don't know. It's crazy.